Today is paper day. I would like to share with you some tips and some hacks on personalizing your miniatures with paper. I love working with paper because it is so inexpensive and it is so versatile. I'm going to show you some free places to get some really beautiful images online. Also a free tool to help you to crop and scale those images. And then finally, I'd like to show you how I send my images to be printed, how I do that and where I do that. So let's get started.
So the first thing that I'd like to show you is a free tool. And if you set up a Google account, I'm particularly want to show you about the Google Drive. And it's totally no cost, like it says here. There's no hidden, fees or anything like that. Now, I do believe they ask you to set up a Gmail, but you don't have to use that email. It's no big deal. What I'm really wanting to show you is the drive thing. So if I go in here and I press new, go on down to Google Drawings. This is a really great free tool for manipulating images. Now, if you have the money for Adobe Illustrator or something like that, then that this is very, very simplistic and that it has its drawbacks. But I have found that for working with miniatures, this is great, and free is free. Okay, now I told Google that I speak UK English, and so it automatically changes my measurements to centimeters. So that's just a side note when I show you some of the things I'm going to do with the images. Okay, so where do I get some free images? Okay, I can go, for one, I can go to Pexels. All right. And this is kind of like Adobe stock. You may have searched images before and you'll see things and they are watermarked. They say Adobe stock on there. You go in and they're going to, charge $7 an image or something like that. But this is free. All right. This is a free tool. So I am wanting to work on the tile in a bathroom. So I just put in tile, and you'll notice I get various things. I'll get pictures that just have tile in them. I'll have some weird stuff that looks a little disturbing. I'll have cool images, but they won't actually work for the walls. So I went down here and I chose this. Now, when you're dealing with some of these free images, they are not what we would call a vector image. They are a photo of something, and they will have a few drawbacks, but this image also has some opportunities. So I'm going to show you both. Don't do the download option. If you do, you're going to be dealing with a JPEG, and I'd like to keep this simple. I'd like to show you how you can do it with the free Google tool. So sometimes there's a link up here where the person who posted this, it'll say donate. And, this would probably cost you $7. If you donate $1, then that's a nice thing to do. But what I'm going to do here, instead of downloading, I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit copy image. Okay, I'm going to go over here to my Google drawing and I'm going to paste this in. Okay, now let's say I have bathroom wall. It's about 10 centimeters wide. Well, this is way out of scale, of course, right? So I'm going to scale this puppy down a lot. Okay, now I don't need to go in and do a bunch of math. It's just not necessary. I can look at this. I can count the tiles across, which I happen to know is 9, although these are cut off. So when I go to crop this, it's actually going to be 8. And I can visualize what this looks like if I'm going to have 16 tiles across, 20 tiles across, and so forth. Okay? This wouldn't be a bad scale for the tile in a bathroom. Okay, so that's scaled down. Let's say it's scaled down to what I want. Now I need to go over here and blow this up because eyesight. All right. Okay, now this image needs a little work. Okay, I have a situation where it is uneven and there's not anything I can do about that. But I can crop this to make it a little easier to work with. If I crop this over to the grout there, and the grout here, and the grout here, and let me see if I need to adjust. It may be the most I can do, but I'm going to adjust a little bit. Yeah, it's hard because the image isn't even. I think I need to adjust that out. Let's see how I did. Well, this is showing the drawbacks, right? I can bring that out a little bit. Okay, so I can be as much of a perfectionist as I want. I'm still going to have some things I need to work with. Okay, so, all right, that's about the best I can do for cropping it. And it's not a vector image, and so, yeah, I've got to just deal with it. It's free. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste another one here and kind of show you what I can do. See, okay, right here I have this very obvious seam that I'm not going to be able to get rid of. But down here, it's great. It's looking good. So what I could do is I could obviously put something in front of this. But, all right, I'm going to select all. I'm going to go up here to arrange and I'm going to click on group. Now I can manipulate this it's one image. Okay. So here's the opportunity with this photo because it's not perfect. Check this out. I'm going to format options, click on that, go to size and rotation. I'm going to flip this and check it out. Our lighting sources are going to be in the ceiling, or maybe they are over a mirror in this bathroom. I can be aware of shading and make this look really realistic. I would have shadows down here where the toilet would be in real life. I would have that. So work with that. Now this awful seam, I could put it behind the toilet. You know, I can manipulate and crop and do what I want once I print this out. Okay. Now, another fun fact is always print off more than you need. Just do it. It might wind up costing you a little bit more in terms of how much you can fit on the copy when you go to print it, and I'll talk about that later. But just do that for yourself because see, I could do some more cropping here and really work with this better. Okay, that being said, there's wall tile. Let me show you another place. Pixabay, just like the other one, just gives you some more options. I searched in here. I put in brick wall, and I liked this one. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this for ease. I'm going to paste this. It's gigantic. Let's go to 100%. Holy cow, right? Okay, I want this on the exterior. And let's say my wall is 20 centimeters just for ease. Okay, let's bring this down. Still way too big, right? Let's bring it about half, something like that. All right, I got to blow this up. Now this one is something called a vector image. And what that means is it has to do with how the image is made. And it is a little easier to make it seamless. You'll see that the edges are pretty crisp here, and it just it's going to have some what am I trying to say here? Like the shading is going to be different from like the other one where it was very obvious that there was a difference in the shading. Here, the shading is really just due to the texture. Okay, so I'll show you how this one's a little easier to deal with. Okay, so, even if I didn't do anything, that seam is not too bad. I mean, my eye, I know where it is, you know where it is, right? And I don't find it to be acceptable. But just automatically, it was a little bit easier. And I can do the same thing that I did with the other one, and I can manipulate this however I want to get it to really camouflage that. And I could keep doing this forever. And now that's virtually invisible. And I'm not going to have to do any adjustments once I print this. Well, that right there isn't. But you get my point. I can manipulate this. I can, let's say I didn't like that and I thought I could do a little flip like this. That seam now looks a little different, but I can, no, sorry, I meant to do this. I can manipulate that. So the vector images are a little bit easier to work with. I'm not really going to have to do a lot to do that. When I go down here, also, once again, now that's invisible. I do have my repeated pattern, which I can do all kinds of things to break that up. I can do it this way this time and work with it, and I can break up that pattern in a different way so that the eye is really not drawn to it. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to show you one other thing because I thought it was really adorable. So I found this lemon wallpaper. I just loved it. And I found it on one of those two sources. And I was able to get it completely, like there's no seam there at all. And I just thought this was adorable. So wallpapers work, flooring, whatever you want. Okay, one last thing. So I suggest going to, this is just Office Depot. And let's leave this and go home. Right, you're under their services, go to copies. Now, if you are a person who has a laser printer at home, you might not feel that this is necessary. Go ahead and get started, and then it's going to bring that screen back up again. All right. First of all, over here, make sure that keep size is clicked. Sometimes it can mess up your scale if something else is clicked. I learned that the hard way. A lot of times it won't matter because it's very, very similar. But one time I was working on a project where I was working on, I made a sidewalk and it just really messed up the seams on my sidewalk. So long story short, make sure that here's really where I want to show you something cool. Okay. This standard white is your typical laser printer paper. I suggest don't use that. Go down here, pay the extra 16 cents, right? And get cardstock. It is so awesome to work with the cardstock. Gluing it, cutting it, everything. You don't have wrinkles, you don't have lumps. You can, soak it off and move things. Well, not soak it completely off, but you can manipulate it more. This will be matte. Okay, and it's going to be great for your wallpapers. It's going to be great for your exterior brick, stone, what have you. It's great for, I'm trying to think what else. Sometimes your flooring. is good in matte. Now, let's say you would like some things to be gloss. So go on down here. And this is really, really glossy. All right. It's not just the sheen from the laser print. And this is great for, let's say you're making pictures for your wall. I mean, it looks like there's already glass on it, so a framed picture looks like it has great glass. The tile on your walls might be really shiny. Let's say you're doing that subway tile. That's really, really shiny. Let's say you're doing granite countertops, nice and shiny. Okay, so that's what you want to use for those. So this is something that I learned through a lot of trial and error, and I just think you would really, really like this. Yes, it can start to get expensive for one copy, 74 cents, but just jam as much as you can on that 8.5 by 11 copy. And let's face it, 74 cents is going to be completely worth it in a hobby where, oh my gosh, it's almost like, what else do you need money for, right? I mean, you only need money for this. So, food, food. So anyway, I hope I've been able to show you some things that will help you out. And please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you.